Cassie.
Mr. Chair, there's been a lot of discussion over the last several days about these proposed conditions that are a mystery as to what they might be besides raising the debt limit. But there is a question to be asked here about whether or not Democrats are ready to reject a vote on aid if they do not find those conditions palatable. Are Democrats having that discussion? Are they prepared to vote against it if they don't believe the conditions are, something that you guys can support?
We will not support conditions to disaster assistance. We can have a lengthy debate and discussion and use the committee process to have discussions about the steps that California has taken to protect itself, whether that's doubling the fire professionals in California to record number of resources, billions of dollars to clearing brush in a preventative way, or as the former president talks about, raking the leaves. California has put the resources in to do that work. It's a big state. The federal government has a responsibility between the U.S. Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management as well to be thoughtful partners. And so we are not absolved of any of this, and we have a meaningful role to play. House Democrats are willing to roll up our sleeves and to stay here as long as possible to have the conversations. But at the end of the day, ultimately, this will mean disaster assistance, and that needs to be free from partisan conditions. We did not put partisan conditions on Florida or Louisiana or the Carolinas when we offered aid. Partisan conditions are not helpful and will distract from the help and, more importantly, delay the help that's necessary for the American public.
May I ask a follow-up?
Sure. And then the Vice Chair.
So just a short while ago, the speaker walked out of here and said that this is not partisan, that this is not politics, that they want to have safeguards, making sure that this money is used the way it's supposed to be used. But then he has members going out there and telling reporters that they need to get a pound of flesh for every dollar spent in California. So, what do you make of his claims that this isn't partisan politics when he has members out there saying that?
The speaker's comments and some of the members of the Republican caucus comments are outrageous. When Mother Nature strikes, she doesn't go, hey, are you a Democrat or Republican? Because if you're a Democrat, I'm going to take your home and burn it. And if you're a Republican, I'm not. That's not what happened. Republicans lost homes. So did independents. So did people who weren't voters. All sorts of Americans lost their homes. And think how absurd it is to say, we're not going to rebuild this post office because it's used by 60% Democrats and 40% Republicans. We never do that. So when a tornado strikes in a red state, or a flood happens in a red state, or a hurricane affects a red state, we don't go, oh, it's a red state, we're not going to provide disaster relief. So what the Republicans are doing is really, really outrageous. We are the United States of America. It's 50 states. And by the way, California provides more in taxes to the federal government than it gets back in services. California is subsidizing a bunch of red states. And so if you want to just look at the actual numbers, it is even more outrageous that somehow Speaker Johnson wants to publish Americans who happen to live in Southern California, including Republicans who happen to live in Southern California.